Ever feel like your brain betrays you at the worst moments? You're not alone. These strange mental traps silently control your choices, and you won't believe how often they trick you. From buying things you regret to arguing like a fool, it's all in your head. Stick around and subscribe for more. The invisible puppet strings. Have you ever made a decision that seemed smart in the moment, but later had you asking, why on earth did I do that? Maybe it was buying that third pair of sneakers you didn't need, or staying up all night watching videos even though you had an early meeting. These aren't just bad habits, they're hidden mental traps, quirky little bugs in our brain's wiring that push us into poor choices without us even noticing. Think of your brain like software. Most of the time, it runs smoothly. But every now and then, a hidden glitch slips in, affecting how you think, feel, and act. And the wild part? These glitches don't always feel wrong. In fact, they often feel completely logical. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the silent forces steering your decisions. And trust me, once you recognize these traps, you'll start seeing them everywhere. The illusion of control. You're about to roll the dice. You pause, blow on them for luck, and give a little shake before throwing. Classic move, right? But here's the truth, none of that actually affects the outcome. Still, it feels powerful. This is called the illusion of control. Our minds want to believe we have influence, even over random events. It's why people have lucky socks, rituals, or specific routines before a big game or test. Even when outcomes are purely chance, the comfort of control feels, well, comforting. The illusion doesn't stop at games. We sometimes convince ourselves we can control how people think of us, how our day goes, or even things like traffic lights. But deep down, we're just trying to calm the chaos. Recognizing this helps us let go, and sometimes that's the real power, the Google effect. Think back to the last time you won an argument with a quick Google search. You typed in a question, found the answer, and boom, instant genius. But here's the catch. Knowing where to find information isn't the same as understanding it. This is the Google effect. We've gotten so good at searching that we confuse access with actual knowledge. Just because you can pull up facts doesn't mean you truly grasp them. It's a false sense of intelligence, and it tricks us into overestimating how much we really know. Don't get me wrong, search engines are amazing. But next time you feel like an expert after a 2-minute search, ask yourself, could I explain this without looking it up? If not, it might just be the Google effect in action, the spotlight trap. You walk into a room and realize, oh no, you've got a coffee stain on your shirt. Suddenly, you're convinced everyone's staring. Every glance feels like judgment. That's the spotlight effect. It makes us believe we're the center of attention, when in reality, most people are too caught up in their own worries to notice yours. This trap fuels social anxiety and self-consciousness. But the truth? You're not the main character in everyone else's story. They're starring on their own. So next time you think everyone's watching, relax. Chances are they didn't even notice the stain. Near miss an optimism bias. You're at a carnival game. You nearly hit the target, just a little off. You try again, closer. Now you're convinced the next shot will land. You just have to win. That's the near miss effect. When we almost succeed, our brain sees it as proof we're close, even when it's still a random chance. It's why we keep trying, keep swiping, keep betting. Pair that with the optimism bias, and you've got a risky combo. This bias convinces us that bad things are less likely to happen to us. Sure, bad luck exists, but not for me. That mindset makes us feel safe until reality says otherwise. IKEA effect and sunk cost fallacy. You built a bookshelf yourself. It wobbles a bit. It's far from perfect. But to you, it's priceless. That's the IKEA effect. When we put effort into something, we value it more. And then there's the sunk cost fallacy. You've already spent money on a concert that's now being ruined by rain. Instead of leaving, you stay. Why? Because you paid for it. Our brains don't like waste, so we stick with things that no longer serve us. Jobs, relationships, even bad meals. Just because we've already invested in them. The trick is knowing when to walk away, no matter what you've already put in. Social proof and groupthink. You're at a party, someone tells a joke. It's not that funny, but everyone laughs, so you do too. That's social proof. We assume if others are doing something, it must be right. Now zoom out. You're in a meeting. An idea is thrown out, and everyone nods along. Deep down, you disagree, but you say nothing. That's groupthink, when the desire to agree overrides better judgment. Both traps make us follow the crowd, even if the crowd is heading in the wrong direction. It takes courage to think independently, but sometimes that's exactly what a situation needs. emotional reasoning, and mood congruence. You wake up grumpy. Now everything annoys you. Your coffee too bitter, the lights too bright, even your phone feels slower. That's emotional reasoning. When your feelings shape your view of reality, mood congruence adds to it. If you're feeling down, your brain seeks out things that match that mood. Sad music, negative memories, cloudy thoughts. Together, these traps make bad days feel worse. But they're also reversible. Shift your focus, and you shift your state. Emotions lie sometimes. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's true. False memory and rosy retrospection. Ever argued with a friend about a shared memory, only to realize you both remember it completely differently? Welcome to false memory. Our brains fill in gaps with imagination, and those imagined details feel just as real. Then there's rosy retrospection. You remember your school days as amazing, even though you complained every morning. The brain smooths over the boring and tough parts, leaving only the highlights. Memories aren't records, they're stories. And sometimes they get edited without us knowing. Framing, anchoring, and decoy. You walk into a store. The $400 jacket seems outrageous. But then you spot a $100 one, and suddenly it feels like a deal. That's anchoring. Your brain compares prices to the first number you saw. Now let's say there's a $30 popcorn, a $50 one, and a $49 large deal. You choose the $49 because it seems smarter. That's the decoy effect. And framing? A 95% survival rate sounds comforting. A 5% failure rate? Terrifying. Same stat, different spin. Marketers use these tricks daily. Once you see them, you start shopping with your brain, not just your gut. Dunning-Kruger effect. You meet someone who's wildly confident about a topic they barely understand. That's not confidence, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less we know, the more likely we are to overestimate our knowledge. Ironically, true experts often doubt themselves because they know what they don't know. Confidence doesn't always equal competence, and being aware of that, that's real intelligence, the loop you can't escape. You open your phone to check one thing. 20 minutes later, you're still scrolling. Why? Blame infinite scroll design. Apps remove stopping points, trapping you in a cycle. Add the Zeigarnik effect, our tendency to fixate on unfinished tasks, and you've got a perfect storm. Every swipe feels like progress. But is it? Or is your brain just stuck in a loop? The lies we tell ourselves. You bought a gadget you didn't need, but instead of regret, you say, well, I deserved it. That's cognitive dissonance. Your actions and beliefs clash, so your brain makes excuses to close the gap. Then comes self-serving bias. You ace a test? That's your brilliance. Fail? It was unfair. Group project flops? Definitely someone else's fault. We all do it, but recognizing the pattern helps us grow. The biases that blind us. You're scrolling through the news when a headline jumps out. Another plane crash claims dozens. Suddenly, your next flight feels terrifying. You know flying is statistically safer than driving, but that headline sticks in your mind. That's the availability heuristic in action. Our brains are wired to prioritize vivid emotional events. It's a survival feature from our ancestors. Remembering dramatic situations helped them avoid danger. But today, that instinct backfires. News, social media, even conversations tend to highlight rare, high-impact events. And when something is easy to recall, we automatically think it happens more often than it actually does. Now, let's pair that with the negativity bias, our brain's tendency to weigh bad experiences heavier than positive ones. Imagine reading a dozen glowing reviews about a restaurant, but one person says, "The food was cold and the waiter was rude." Which review do you remember? Probably that one. This bias creeps into personal life too. One argument in a relationship overshadows weeks of harmony. One small failure at work feels heavier than 5 things you did right. We're not being dramatic, our brain is just wired to treat negative input like an emergency. And while this was meant to keep us safe, it can also keep us stuck, afraid, anxious, and always expecting the worst. The danger isn't in knowing bad things happen. It's in letting those rare events take up more space in our minds than they deserve. The key is awareness. When you feel your reaction escalating, ask, is this common or just vivid? Chances are you're reacting to something memorable, not something frequent. Try this. Next time you get feedback, consciously highlight the positive parts before zeroing in on criticism. Reframe your thoughts when that one bad memory tries to take over a good day. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about putting it in perspective. Final trap, the planning fallacy. You sit down with a to-do list. This will be quick, you say, confident you'll finish everything in just a few hours. Fast forward, and it's dark outside. You've completed 2 tasks and added 5 more. That's the planning fallacy, a trap we fall into again and again. It's our tendency to wildly underestimate how long a task will take, even when we've done it before and should know better. Why does this happen? One reason is optimism. We assume the best-case scenario. No distractions, everything flows, and nothing goes wrong. But life rarely cooperates. Emails arrive, people interrupt, technology fails, and our energy fluctuates. Another reason? Memory bias. When we remember past tasks, we often recall the idea of completion, not the messy steps it took to get there. So when we plan again, we forget the real-time costs like setup, breakdown, distractions, or mental fatigue. Even more interesting, this bias doesn't just apply to small tasks. Entire construction projects, software launches, or book releases have been delayed by years because of this mental trap. Experts plan with data. Our brains plan with hope. Let's get personal. Think about that time you told someone you'd be ready in 15 minutes. How often is it really 15? Or when you signed up for a challenge thinking, I'll make time. But making time isn't as easy as it sounds when real life kicks in. So how do we fight this? Start by doubling your time estimate. If you think it'll take 1 hour, give yourself 2. It feels excessive, but you'll be shocked how accurate that turns out to be. Also, break tasks down. Don't just say edit video. Say script it, record, transfer files, edit clips, add music, export, upload. Each step has its own timeline, and bundling them into one makes you underestimate the full workload. Another tip, include buffer time. Things go wrong, always. By building in a safety cushion, you reduce last-minute panic and increase the chance of actually meeting your goal. The planning fallacy isn't a personal flaw, it's just how our minds work. But by recognizing it, adjusting our approach, and planning with honesty instead of optimism, we can finally stop feeling behind and start finishing things on time. Now here's the twist. Even when we know these traps exist, they don't just disappear. But knowledge is the first line of defense. When you recognize a mental trap in real time, you give yourself a chance to pause, reflect, and choose differently. You're not broken, you're human, and humans are wonderfully flawed. These mental glitches aren't failures. They're shortcuts your brain takes to save time and energy. Sometimes they help, other times, not so much. So which trap caught you off guard today? Drop it in the comments below. I want to hear what made you go, wait, I will do that. And if you found this fascinating, there's so much more where that came from. Hit that subscribe button and let's keep peeling back the layers of the human mind, one strange twist at a time.